Hi, sponsors. My name is Father Scott Wallish, and I'm the pastor for your candidate here at St. Joseph Church. I am really excited for them to go through the process of preparation for their confirmation, and I am so grateful that you have said yes to be their sponsor. As I'm sure you understand, that's a big role to play. It's not just a term of honor. It actually has responsibility with it. And we're going to talk about some of those responsibilities. But first, I just wanted to encourage you. I wanted to encourage you not to be like me. I'm the sponsor for 3 or 4 people, and it was an honor to do that. But I'll be honest with you, after their confirmation, I haven't really done much. I haven't necessarily always reached out to them to see how they're doing, checked in to see how their faith life is going, called them up to pray with them, or taken them to church. I haven't really done that. I'd encourage you instead to be like my sponsor. So I'm the youngest of 8 children. There are 7 boys and 1 girl in my family. And so when it came time to pick a sponsor, it was pretty natural that I would think about having one of my brothers or my sister do it. When I look through all of them, they're all an inspiration to me, and I look up to every single one of them. But at the time, the one that stuck out was my brother Tim. Tim was a really smart guy. He was athletic, but he was also just wise. He worked hard and he had a lot of joy. And that just made me think, like, I want to be like that. I want to be like Tim, so I want him to be my sponsor. And Tim took his role as my sponsor very seriously. He was there in the preparation. He was there, of course, at confirmation. But he continued to be there throughout my life. He would check in with me periodically to see how things were going. He would correct me when I might get a little off track. And he would give me wise words without sounding like he was wise. He just cared about me and had a relationship with me. And to this day, I continue to look up to him and be inspired by him. So I encourage you to be more like Tim than like Father Scott. But here's the thing. In this time of COVID, I think that sponsors are more important than ever. So many of our young people during this time of COVID lack a lot of interaction with adults that can put them on the right path, that can inspire them and encourage them to do the right thing. A lot of our kids maybe haven't been able to actually be in the classroom for school. They've only seen their teacher online. And though the teachers, I'm sure, are working very hard to not only teach them, but to be good models, it's not the same as actually being in the classroom. Some of our kids are used to playing sports and having a coach, but maybe this year that all got canceled. So they didn't have that opportunity to be around their coaches, who so many of them look up to. I'm sure they're able to be around their parents, but even in the midst of COVID, that can be kind of messed up. And so I think that your role as a mentor and a sponsor is so important right now. So I encourage you to take that role very seriously. Don't just wait until the day of confirmation to show up and go, okay, now I'm your sponsor. Be in contact with them. Call them. Pray with them. Take them to church. Have a meal with them. We're going to talk about some videos that you can use to spur conversation with them. Use those and anything else you find to help form these candidates to be really good disciples of Jesus Christ. If you can point them in that direction, you who they have specifically chosen, I think it's going to have a big impact. Again, thank you for choosing and saying yes to be sponsor. And I hope that this video can help you to get a fuller sense of what it means to be a sponsor, how important your role is, and how you can live out that role in a way that helps these candidates to be ready for their confirmation, ready for life, and ready to be a lifelong disciple of Jesus Christ.
Hi, my name's Barb Zanata, and I teach religion at our parish school, St. Joseph Parish. I teach 7th and 8th grade religion, but by far one of the best opportunities I have is to be able to teach confirmation to our 8th graders. They look forward to it. They sometimes try and be cool about it, but they do look forward to confirmation. And part of the confirmation process is choosing a confirmation sponsor. When you look at a 14-year-old and what they want in their life, they want to have somebody that believes in them, somebody that will listen to them, somebody that they can trust. And these are all ways that they describe their confirmation sponsors. After they choose a sponsor and go through the confirmation process, they have to write a letter to the Archbishop and explain lots of different aspects of confirmation, but one of them is why they chose their confirmation sponsor. And they say such beautiful things about you. I don't know how many of you are grandparents, but one of the things I ask the students is, if someone were to say, would you do me a favor? Who would you say yes immediately to? And that is by far the biggest bunch of those people are grandparents. They know you're there for them, you believe in them, you are happy for them, you're happy being with them, and that makes them feel good about themselves. When we go through the process of choosing sponsors, they know this is important, and they do a lot of thinking about it, who they really want. That's why so many of them end up with grandparents, because of how important you are to them. But some of you I know are aunts and uncles or cousins or even brothers. I had one young man one year that said, it's just my mom and my brother and I at our house, and my brother helps me become a man. What better thing to say about a brother? The trust that is there, the belief that is there in each other. It just is so important. And this process gets them to adulthood where they need lots of help. When they talk about their sponsors, they say things like, I can talk about anything to them. They will always listen to me. They always have time for me. No matter what my problem is, they don't act like it's not a big deal. They listen to me. And it's a wonderful thing to hear. It's a wonderful thing to hear. Sometimes they talk about, well, this sponsor is the holiest person I know. Wow, the holiest person I know. But being holy can mean different things to different people. The definition we use for holy in the classroom is being the best person I can be, taking the gifts and talents that God has given me and developing them. So that's what they see in you. You are being the best person you can be. You're taking your gifts and talents and you're sharing them with them. And that makes them feel good. That makes them feel secure. If all these feelings weren't there, they wouldn't be asking you to be their sponsor. It's so important. Some of these kids don't have many Catholics in their life. I've had kids come to me and say, I can't choose very many people. Well, that makes your role all the more important to them, because they have to be around somebody that is Catholic, lives that lifestyle, that role model that they can see and go, that's what I need to do. That's the way to be. And when it's someone that they look up to and respect, it gains more emphasis for them in their life, and they love it all the more. So you are accepting a role of helping them grow up, and really you're telling them you love them. You're telling them they're important, and they're 14 years old. They want to hear that. They want to hear it so desperately. You make them feel special, and I thank you for that. I thank you for accepting this responsibility. I thank you for saying yes, and I thank you for loving these kids. Looking forward to see you at confirmation on April 14th. Thanks again.
Hi sponsors, this is Deacon Tom. It's now my turn to talk to you about your role in being a sponsor and some of the rules. So let's start with some of the rules about being a sponsor. The first thing I'd like you to know is that the word sponsor comes from a Latin word, and the meaning of that Latin word is to give assurance or to promise solemnly. So you're going to give assurance both to your candidate by standing up with him or her, and give assurance to the church and to Archbishop that your candidate is ready for this sacrament. You need to be at least 16 years old. So if you're an older brother or an older sister, that's great. You've met that qualification. If you're a grandma or grandpa, there isn't any upper limit, so you can be as old as you want to be. You need to be a practicing Catholic. And a practicing Catholic means just that you go to church, you go to the other sacraments frequently, and you adhere to all of our teachings. You believe in what the church teaches. When you recite the creed at Mass, you take that into your heart. And you also need to be a fully initiated Catholic. You need to be baptized, have received the Eucharist, and be confirmed yourself. Now, you can't be a parent of the candidate to be a sponsor unless you are a proxy for an aunt or uncle or a grandma or grandpa that can't come to the ceremony because of the COVID restrictions that we're under right now. So you can be a proxy if you're a parent for your candidate, but you can't be the official sponsor. And sponsors don't have to be the same gender as the candidate. Usually they are. Usually you see female candidates with a female sponsor and male candidates with a male sponsor, but that's not always the case. So that's okay if your sponsor is a different gender. We want you to be a good role model in the faith, that practicing Catholic that I talked about. And remember that practice makes perfect. So the more that you follow the rules, come to Mass, and do that, the better example you are for your candidate. Now, your faith journey with your candidate doesn't end with a dismissal at the confirmation Mass. Your responsibility is a lifelong responsibility. So we want you to take this seriously and continue to follow your candidate on this lifelong journey in their faith. Thanks for being a sponsor.
Hi, I'm Richard Solzhen. I help teach 8th grade to the confirmation class that does not go to St. Joseph's School. Sponsors, congratulations and thank you for your role model to our faith and being a superstar to the candidate. Your example and witness to our faith is so important to the candidate. Let them know what helped you grow in your spiritual life and ask them to pray for you because you will be praying for them. Even if this is a conversation over the phone, ask them to pray a short prayer with you together. Your witness to prayer and your life is so important. Let them know that you are there at any point in their life and what they're doing and important decisions, that you're more than happy to talk to them about anything. During confirmation, when you present your candidate to the bishop, you will put your right hand on their right shoulder and introduce them by their name and confirmation name. This is Joseph, whose confirmation name is Peter. That simple, right hand, right shoulder, name, confirmation name. Now you may feel that that's the end of your job, but it's just beginning. You're there throughout their whole life, through their faith journey. So congratulations on being asked to be a sponsor, and we look forward to seeing.
Confirmation is kind of a hard sacrament to wrap our minds around unless we understand where it comes from. You see, confirmation doesn't stand by itself as a sacrament. It builds upon what we received at our baptism. So what happened at our baptism? We're going to take a look at that a little bit. The baptism was the most important day spiritually of your life. It was more important than your birthday, more important than your marriage. It's even more important than the day that a priest is ordained. So there are a few things that happened. Number one, you became part of God's family. Literally, God adopted you on your baptism day. That means that you have a father, you have a mother, you have Jesus as your perfect brother who is also God and your Savior. And we also have many other brothers and sisters, both living and dead, in the communion of saints. You became part of something much bigger than yourself. You took your place in the great story of God's plan for salvation. From the creation of the world, to Moses, to Israel and David the king, to Mary and even Jesus. And then after even the saints, you were grafted on to the great tree that reaches up to heaven. Your life no longer is your own. You're part of a great story. So, the first thing that happens in your baptism, you became part of God's family, and you took your place in the great story of salvation. Number 2, your original sin was wiped away. You see, original sin is the sin that we receive through our parents, all the way back to Adam and Eve. It's the original turning against God. But that gets wiped away, and you get set apart. You get given power to resist sin in your life. And when you fall and make mistakes, as you inevitably will, as we all do, we have then, through baptism and confession, the power to start over again. So number 2, original sin is wiped away. Number 3, what happens in baptism? You receive a permanent mark on your soul. There are 3 sacraments that give you a permanent mark on your soul. 1, baptism, as we're talking about. Number 2, confirmation. And number 3, holy orders. What does that mean by a permanent mark? It means that no matter what happens in your life, your baptism will always stay with you. In ancient Rome, soldiers would be literally branded on their arms to show that they were in the service of the emperor. And with this, they would have a great dignity and many rights that came with being a commissioned soldier for the emperor. So the third thing that you received in your baptism is a permanent mark on your soul. The fourth thing you received in your baptism is a mission. You are given a job to do. You're told how to live. Think about those soldiers' marks in ancient Rome. It not only gave them rights and dignity, it also gave them responsibility. It told them what they were supposed to live up to. So, what is your mission? We get a sense of it through an old word for baptism, christening. In your baptism, you are called to become another Jesus Christ to the world. What does that mean? What did Jesus do in the world? He loved God above everything. He loved others as himself. He did good. He gave himself in service. And that's what we're all called to do, to give ourselves in service to our family, to our spouses, and to others. So to sum up, what did we receive in our baptism? 1, we received an identity. We're told who we are. And who is that? We're a beloved son or daughter of God the Father. And the second thing we received in our baptism is a mission. We're told what to do, how we're supposed to live our lives. And how are we supposed to do that? We're supposed to love God above everything and to love others as ourselves. This gives us a sense of what confirmation then does, is it strengthens us to engage in this battle. It equips us with gifts of the Holy Spirit for us to go forward and fight as a soldier for our King.